Hello and welcome back to the Shmeemuseum, where I'm sat to talk with you guys about a topic that I think, if you've been following the Shmee150 journey over the last 6 months or so, that is both fascinating and also slightly controversial for reasons I will explain shortly. But following on from sitting down to go through the backstory of Shmee150, I think this is the brewing of a new series, Story Time at the Shmeemuseum, Tales in the Shmeemuseum. I'm not entirely sure yet, but this is all down to the emergence of a factory painted Solarbeam yellow AMG GT Black Series. Now hold the press, what's the big deal about that? Well, if you've been following the journey of my GT Black Series, you'll know that I originally ordered it and then took delivery about 6 months ago in July 2021 in graphite grey Magno, despite wanting it to be Solarbeam because it was not possible. We've then had the journey of respraying it at Chartwell before now the car is out in Dubai in the UAE during some adventures out there. I'll be back with it quite shortly. So what does this mean? Why couldn't I order it in Solarbeam? Why is there now one? And what do I think about it? And I'd like to run through all of this because it is very complicated. Over the last couple of months, I've been trying to explain a little bit. And to be honest, I've been waiting for one to emerge and start to appear out there. And there might even be a few more to come. And it will make a little bit more sense if you bear with me. Now, I think we need to step back a notch. And you're, of course, noticing behind me is my Mystic Blue SLS AMG Black Series, because of course the GT is out in Dubai. But this was in some ways the previous step, right? Painting this car, which you might remember was originally grey, I painted it to the blue. But in fact, before that, I was first introduced to Chartwell, who did the work on my GT Black Series after the incident with the Senna, which was, well, 2.5 years ago now. Time absolutely flies by, but that was when I was sitting in a traffic jam on the UK's famous M25 motorway, the ring road around London, and at about 15 miles per hour, a truck kind of came into my lane, caught the back of the Senna, and we had some cosmetic damage, but very frustrating damage. Now, my car ended up going to Chartwell up in Derby, a couple of hours north from here, to have the repair work done before being signed off by MSO, effectively Chartwell being appointed by the factory to carry out the repairs, and they did an immaculate job, which is why when a few months, I suppose maybe 7 or 8 months later, I purchased this car, originally in Himalaya grey, but decided I wanted to make it blue. They were the first people that I called because I really wanted Mystic Blue on the SLS. If you know about the Shmeemobiles, many of them are in unique, bright, out there colours, unique specifications, things that I think suit the car, and I spent far too long planning it all, looking at the garage as a whole picture. Maybe they won't appeal to everybody, but when they're together, they are each my own choices, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Now, I had considered Mystic Blue when I spec'd my G63, but in the end, I decided to do it in the matching spec to the Senna, so that when I was towing the Senna behind the G, it would look really quite cool, not necessarily expecting to keep the G as long as I actually have done, but I went in the end to not order it in Mystic Blue. I've seen a few Mystic Blue ones since, and they are stunning. But I went through this entire respray process from the very beginning, tearing the car down, seeing it in pieces, all of the glass out, all of the interior out, all of the, well, trimmings and everything, as it then went through the paint booth, became its new colour, got to collect it, and I've had an amazing time with it since. So when it came to then speccing the AMG GT Black Series, which was in, I want to say, summer 2020, the UK order form only offered us 8 different colour choices. Now, in Germany at the time, for the first order of GT Black Series cars, and in other countries, there were actually 10 colour choices. And additionally, if you're an AMG 1 customer, you could also order one of the 2 special Project 1 liveries as well, which are effectively this Formula 1 style painted star design, either from silver fading through to black or full black the whole way through with the opposite stars to give it a really cool effect. And they are very special. Huge uplift on the price in order to do that because they are hand painted. But for the rest of us without AMG 1s on order, you had either 10 colours in Europe or 8 colours in the UK, and that was completely it. Now, of course, I pleaded with Mercedes that I could please do the car in Solarbeam, because one of the things I had been thinking when ordering this was how good Solarbeam and Mystic Blue would look together, Solarbeam having been the launch colour of that car. Now, I tend to avoid launch colours because they wouldn't fit my ethos of trying to build a unique spec car, because normally if there's a successful launch colour for a car, you'll probably find 25 or 30% of them do actually get ordered in that color, which means you're destined to see a few of them about. So I had hoped and assumed, given that Solarbeam had been available for the AMG GTS, GTC, the regular GT, the GTR, the GTR Pro, the GTR Roadster, I assumed it would be available on the GT Black Series. And that's where I was wrong. As soon as that options list arrived, at the same time, they took Solarbeam off the entire list of colors for any car in the Mercedes lineup. So this is where I was given a few days to decide my specification and no option to go outside of that. So I basically decided that given this had actually gone quite well and the paint quality is fantastic, do not be scared at the idea of the respray. If you do it properly, you can end up with a job that is significantly better than factory because it's done by hand. Everything lines up, the quality and finishing and polishing is all top notch. So this, I mean, it's exactly what I hoped it was going to be. No rattles, no issues, nothing back together incorrectly, everything that you would really dream about having as a result of a respray. So I said, do you know what? It's expensive and it's a little bit frustrating because in the UK, we had this fixed price for the GT Black Series. You couldn't take options off. You paid full whack with everything you had. Well, you could take options off, but you wouldn't save any money. So if you went for comfort seats instead of the track spec, you're not going to save any pennies. If you want a cheap color, like a cheap relative, you know, a standard Mercedes color like white or black, you're not going to save any money over a satin paint job or the Green Hell Magno, or if they had done Solarbeam, that would be on that list as well. So you had to spec it, you had to pay the fixed price, and it was going to cost me a 5-figure sum of money to respray it, to change it to a different color afterwards. And I said to myself, this is a car I'm going to keep forever, do a lot of things with, so I'm not really that bothered about it. You know, it's a big expense, but when the car is already that much money, you know, we're talking less than 10% more on the value of the car for something that I hope I'll still own in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time. I kind of justified it to myself, man maths, let's say. So I went down that path knowing that for me, there was no option to do so. Mercedes did tell me potentially with the later cars, it might be something they introduced, but they certainly weren't planning to do it for that first order batch of cars. And Mercedes-Benz in the UK were never going to be able to do it. So we knew that was completely off the cards as an option for me from the very, very beginning. Now though, we have seen the arrival of a Solarbeam GT Black Series. There are quite a few differences to mine as it happens because of the bespoke details we did add to mine. Now a short while back, I actually managed to find the entire list of US spec GT Black Series, which included 8 out of their 385 cars in total in one-off colors through the Mercedes Center of Excellence, which effectively is their offering for premium cars if you want to do something bespoke with them. And this was really the start of seeing some custom colors coming through. You might have spotted an emerald green one that came up on social media, looked absolutely beautiful, a car in Germany. So I've been waiting, as I said, until a Solarbeam one would pop up. It's such an iconic Mercedes AMG color. It was obviously going to appear at some point in time. It just took until a couple of days ago when my friend Merc-Benz King uploaded a video shot at the Center of Excellence of exactly that car. Now there are immediately some things that stood out to me, of course, looking to see what's different. It's a left-hand drive car. It happens to be spec'd in comfort specifications, so with the comfort seats and without the roll cage, which to me are two absolute must-haves in a track-focused Nürburgring lap record holding car like that. But also, remember, I opted to paint the boot lid on mine in Solarbeam as well, to not have that contrast with the standard gloss black boot, but also the V8 badges. We did the surround of the V8 in black as opposed to the normal red, because I figured the red would look a little bit too much against the yellow. So immediate differentiators between my car and any factory painted GT Black Series, which would all have the default setup with badges and the boot lid. That's just the way that they're going to do it on all of the different cars. Now, of course, if you are a Mercedes VIP customer, very close to the brand, perhaps own an AMG 1 or have an AMG 1 coming, I should say, as deliveries haven't started, this is where you would have the relationship with the senior sales team and to have the opportunity to go down this path in the very beginning. And while I do own a couple of Mercedes models, the SLS Black, the C Black, the GT Black, GTR Roadster, the G63, I had the GTR Pro, the GTR, and a couple of other things, I guess. No, maybe that's all of them along the way. I don't have that complete factory, let's say, sales relationship in order to go through this path. What's really cool about Center of Excellence though, now that they are offering it and it's open for second order round cars, is that you can completely bespoke it. And this particular car that was filmed by Merc-Benz King has the interior done as well, with lots of yellow accents, yellow stitching, yellow 12 o'clock marker, yellow pinstriping around the seats and things. And these are things I did consider as well, redoing the interior on mine, and we might do that down the line. But from the original factory order for the UK cars, we could either have grey stitching or orange stitching, and orange would not have worked against yellow, so I went with the grey. It was the easy, perhaps boring, but default option, and the only one that I thought would work for the end product. Now, of course, all of this is, I suppose you might look and say, well, why didn't you just order one in Germany or something like that? But at the end of the day, having bought my previous cars in the UK, that's where I was going to be able to get the allocation for the GT Black Series. Plus, I'm based here in the UK, so if I can pick up the car as a right-hand drive, that's a no-brainer for me to go down. The only reason I have this car as a left-hand drive is because it was significantly cheaper. Back when the SLS was introduced, they only made 350 customer cars, and out of those, I think it's 15 UK right-hand drive cars to begin with, and those have a big premium, and a premium in current terms, current pricing, of about £200,000 more than a left-hand drive one, which is mad money to change the side of the car that your steering wheel is on. So I decided I would go with a right-hand drive, given I had that opportunity from the outset to start with it. Now, personally, of course, I would have loved to be able to order a Solarbeam, but I've spoken with Mercedes, so they've been able to confirm for me what exactly is the state of play. And long story short, as I said, in the first order round, globally, you could not have a different coloured car. So when I ordered my car in about September or so of 2020, there was no option to do so. My car was actually built fairly shortly thereafter, but there were a lot of delays with everything going on in the world, hence why I didn't get to take delivery of it until July 2021. But around that time is when they started the second order books, which came with the opportunity in certain markets to choose a bespoke colour. And of course, that does incur a high price tag as well to be able to choose a bespoke colour. But in the UK, as I have been told, there has been no option to do so. So nobody in the UK could go outside of the default 8 colours, things like the black, the high-tech silver, the Magma Beam orange, the Green Hell Magno, the Magma Beam. You could only have those colours or the AMG 1 liveries. So here in the UK, I would never be able to have a Solarbeam GT Black Series, full stop. What do I think about it? Well, at the end of the day, it's hard to be upset when there's no real opportunity. Of course, I'm a bit jealous of those cars that are factory painted, left-hand drive Solarbeam cars that might exist, and I imagine there will be a few more. You know, they're going to be making in total, I would guess, 1,000, 1,200, maybe 1,500 cars maximum. So we're probably going to see a few more bespoke and very nice coloured GT Black Series passing through. In fact, the reason I chose to do this in Mystic Blue is because one of the last SLSs built, SLS Black Series built, was in fact in Mystic Blue, and that car was out in the Middle East. I've never actually seen it myself, but I've been aware of it for a while, and it had a blue leather interior, in fact, as well. It had been through the Center of Excellence to do this complete bespoke personalization program. So, as I said, I can't be upset about it because I still couldn't have had it. All I can be is perhaps a little bit jealous about it. It's good to have, I suppose, the conclusion, the answer to that story, because it's something I've been wondering about for a while. And it's a big thanks to Merc-Benz King for the opportunity really to be able to see that particular car and to be able to see a little bit more about it. Of course, I do quite like having the yellow boot lid and the black badges instead of the red badges, but that's a different topic. Probably that's going to end up getting copied somewhere down the line as well, but no bad thing. For me, the GT Black Series is a car that I intend to drive a lot, to do a lot of rallies, road trips, travel around the world with. I mean, it's already been to 2 continents. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up going to a 3rd, and perhaps even down the line a 4th as well, which will be really special. A car that I've been part of for the whole journey. You might remember being part of the teaser, we could say, the reveal of the car originally through the Mercedes-Benz channels and platforms, when I effectively broke into the factory or testing facility and pulled the covers back and took it for a little joyride. So it's a car that's very personal to me, especially with the miles I did in the SLS, being part of that whole launch program and sequence behind the scenes, just because it was a fun thing to do, even though it meant a lot of late nights, distracting, I should say, from the work I was actually probably supposed to be doing at that time. In any case, it's a beautiful car, it's an incredible car, it's achieved an awful lot already, and I'm looking forward to driving mine on even more tracks than I have already. I hope that answers the story for you guys, and I think continues the stories from here at the Shmeemuseum. And this is something I'm going to work out, because I think it'd be cool to have some more people down from the UK to come and have some chats with you as well. For now though, that is all for now from here at the Shmeemuseum. Until next time.